One morning about 2 weeks after finding Lyra, Michelle woke up feeling strange. She tried to stretch, but something felt different. She looked at her wrist and found a thin silver bracelet that had not been there when she went to sleep. The bracelet was smooth with no clasp or opening. It fit snugly against her skin but did not hurt. Michelle tried to pull it off, but it would not budge. She tried soap water and even cooking oil. Nothing worked. The bracelet stayed firmly attached to her wrist. She went to her tool shed and tried using pliers, but the metal would not even scratch. Michelle stormed back into the cabin where Lyra sat calmly drinking tea. "What is this?" she demanded. Holding up her wrist with the bracelet, Lyra looked at her with those silver eyes that revealed nothing. "It is a neural link," Lyra explained. Her voice was calm and matter-of-fact. "It connects us. It means you are now bound to my service." Michelle felt her heart sink. "What do you mean, bound to your service?" she asked. "Am I your slave now after everything I did to help you?" Lyra shook her head. "That is not how we see it on my world," she said. "It is an honor to be chosen as a companion to royalty. You will help me complete my mission." Michelle felt anger rising inside. She had trusted Lyra. She had helped her without asking for anything in return. And now this betrayal. She tried to yell at Lyra, to tell her how wrong this was. But strangely, she could not form the words. The bracelet grew warm on her wrist, and her anger faded. "That is the neural link working," Lyra explained. "It does not control your thoughts, but it does help you align your priorities with mine. Your safety and well-being remain important, but my mission now takes precedence." Over the next few days, Michelle discovered the limits of the neural link. She could still make her own decisions about most things. She could choose what to eat, what to wear, and how to spend her free time. But when Lyra gave a direct command, Michelle felt compelled to obey. It was not painful or frightening. It simply felt like the most reasonable thing to do. Lyra did not abuse this power. She treated Michelle with respect and even affection. She explained what she needed and why. She listened to Michelle's ideas and often followed her suggestions. They continued working on the communication device as equals in many ways. Michelle's resentment remained, but it was mixed with curiosity. The neural link did something else unexpected. It allowed her to sense Lyra's emotions. She could feel when the alien princess was worried, sad, or happy. It created a connection between them that went beyond words. One night as they sat by the fire in Michelle's cabin, Lyra shared more about her world. The princess described the beautiful twin moons that hung in Thalasia's sky. She told stories about the grand crystal palaces where her people lived. She explained how their technology worked in harmony with nature. Michelle asked about the neural link. "Is this how all relationships work on your planet?" she asked. Lyra shook her head. "No," she replied. "Only the most important ones. The neural link is sacred. It is used between rulers and their most trusted advisors, between parents and children in times of danger, and between life partners." "Life partners?" Michelle asked. "Do you mean like marriage? Something similar?" Lyra said with a smile. "The link creates trust where trust might be difficult. It ensures honesty between connected individuals. It is impossible to lie to someone you share a neural link with." This information made Michelle think. She had assumed the worst about the bracelet, that it was a tool of control and domination. But perhaps there was more to it. Perhaps it served a purpose she did not yet understand. The days passed and their work continued. Lyra needed special materials for the communication device, things that Michelle had to find in various places. They traveled to different towns, sometimes driving for hours. Michelle introduced Lyra as her cousin from out of town. The disguise worked well enough, though Lyra still attracted curious looks with her unusual grace and formal way of speaking. During these trips, Michelle learned more about the conflict on Thalasia. Lyra's enemies belonged to a faction called the Dominion. They believed in expanding their empire by conquering other worlds. They saw Earth as a primitive planet ripe for colonization. Lyra and her supporters, called the Harmony, believed in peaceful contact and Mutual respect. If the Dominion finds Earth first, they will enslave your people, Lyra explained. They will take your resources and destroy your civilization. The thought chilled Michelle. Is that why you put this bracelet on me? She asked. To protect yourself while you stop them. Lyra looked away. There is more to it than that, she said. But yes, partly. This mission is too important to risk failure. I need someone I can trust completely. As they collected the final components for the communication device, Michelle noticed strange things happening. People in black cars seemed to follow them. Unusual aircraft appeared in the sky near Michelle's cabin. Lyra became more tense and watchful. We must hurry, Lyra said one evening. The Dominion has agents on Earth. They have been looking for me since my crash. They cannot allow me to contact my allies. That night, as Michelle slept, she dreamed of stars and distant worlds. She saw great ships moving through space, some beautiful and graceful, others dark and threatening. She woke suddenly to find Lyra standing over her. They are coming, Lyra said. We must leave now. Michelle dressed quickly and grabbed the emergency bag she had prepared. They rushed out to Michelle's truck and drove away from the cabin. Just as they reached the main road, Michelle saw lights in her rearview mirror. Vehicles were approaching her property. Where are we going? Michelle asked. To a safe place. Lyra replied. Where we can activate the communication device without interference. The neural link will guide you. Michelle felt a strange sensation, like a gentle pull in her mind. She found herself turning down roads she had never taken before, driving deep into the forest to a clearing hidden among the trees. Here, Lyra said when they stopped. This is the place. They set up the communication device under the stars. It looked like a small satellite dish made from parts of Lyra's ship and items Michelle had collected. As Lyra activated it, a beam of light shot up into the night. Sky, now we wait, Lyra said. They will come. Michelle Carter lived alone in a small cabin at the edge of Pine Valley. The 28-year-old mechanic enjoyed the quiet life away from the busy city. She fixed cars at the local garage during the day and spent her evenings tinkering with old machines in her workshop behind the cabin. One night, a bright light woke Michelle from her sleep. She looked out the window and saw something falling from the sky. It crashed into the forest about a mile from her home. The strange thing was no loud noise, just a soft thud and a flash of purple light. In the morning, Michelle hiked through the woods to find what had fallen. She expected to find a meteor or maybe some space junk. Instead, she discovered a strange metal object half buried in the dirt. It was about the size of a small bus, but shaped like an egg. The metal had a soft glow that pulsed with purple light. Michelle touched the surface of the object. It felt warm and seemed to vibrate under her fingers. She walked around it, looking for any signs of damage. The trees around the crash site were barely disturbed, which seemed impossible for something that fell from space. As she circled the object, Michelle found what looked like a door. There were no handles or buttons, just a smooth panel with strange symbols etched into the metal. She pressed her hand against the panel out of curiosity. To her surprise, the door slid open with a soft hiss. Michelle hesitated. She knew she should probably call someone about this, maybe the police or the military, but her curiosity was too strong. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The interior of the object was larger than it looked from outside. The walls glowed with the same purple light. The air smelled clean and fresh, like after a summer rain. Michelle moved slowly through a narrow corridor that led to a central chamber. In the center of the chamber was a clear container that looked like a glass coffin. Inside was a woman, or at least something that looked like a woman. She had blue skin that shimmered in the purple light. Her hair was silver and seemed to float around her head as if she was underwater. She wore a simple white dress that glowed softly in the dim light. Michelle stared at the woman in shock. Is this an alien, she wondered. The woman looked peaceful, as if she was sleeping, but something about her expression seemed troubled, as if she was having a bad dream. Next to the container was a panel with more strange symbols. Michelle studied it carefully, though she could not read the alien language. She recognized what looked like a lock system. It reminded her of the security panels she sometimes had to bypass when working on expensive cars. Michelle knew she should leave and report this discovery. But what would happen to the alien woman? The government might treat her like a lab rat, or worse. Michelle could not bear the thought. She decided to trust her instincts, using her mechanical knowledge. Michelle examined the panel. She found what appeared to be a release mechanism, a series of symbols that lit up when she touched them. She pressed them in what seemed like the right pattern. The container hissed, and the top slowly opened. The alien woman opened her eyes. They were completely silver with no pupils. Michelle stepped back, startled. The alien woman sat up and looked around. Her movements were graceful, despite her obvious weakness. When the alien saw Michelle, she tilted her head in curiosity. She made sounds that Michelle could not understand. They were musical but made no sense. Michelle pointed to herself and said, "My name is Michelle." The alien watched Michelle carefully, then she reached for a small device attached to her wrist. She pressed a few buttons, and the device glowed. The alien spoke again. But this time Michelle heard words she understood. "My designation is unpronounceable in your language," the alien said. Her voice had a musical quality that made Michelle think of wind chimes. "You may call me by a name from your world," Michelle thought for a moment. "How about Lyra?" she suggested after her favorite constellation. Lyra nodded, seeming pleased with the name. "I am grateful for my release," she said. She tried to stand but stumbled. Michelle rushed forward to help her. Lyra explained that she was from a distant star system called Thalassia. She was royalty, a princess of her people. Her ship had been damaged during an escape from enemies who wanted to prevent her from taking the throne she needed. Time to recover and find a way to contact her allies. Michelle knew she should be more cautious, but something about Lyra seemed trustworthy. Despite the strangeness of the situation, Michelle offered to help. She invited Lyra to stay in her cabin while they figured out what to do. Over the next few days, Michelle showed Lyra how humans lived. She taught her about food, electricity, and human customs. Lyra was a quick learner. She seemed fascinated by even the simplest things like running water and music. Lyra shared stories about her world too. She described cities that floated in the clouds and oceans filled with creatures that glowed in the dark. She told Michelle about the political problems on her planet, how different factions fought for power and how her group wanted peace. Michelle helped Lyra salvage parts from her ship. They worked together to build a communication device. Lyra needed special materials that Michelle had to find in town. This meant coming up with a disguise for the blue-skinned alien. They used makeup to cover her blue skin and sunglasses to hide her silver eyes. A hat concealed her unusual hair. Their trips to town were tense but successful. No one seemed to notice anything strange about the quiet woman in sunglasses who accompanied Michelle. But with each passing day, Michelle grew more attached to her alien guest. She enjoyed their conversations and the way Lyra saw the world with fresh eyes. Michelle never expected to find friendship with someone from another planet. But as they worked side by side, she realized that despite their differences, they shared many similarities. They both valued honesty, courage, and kindness. They both enjoyed learning new things. And they both felt like outsiders in their own worlds. As the communication device neared completion, Michelle felt a mix of emotions. She was proud of their work, but sad that Lyra would soon leave Earth. Had never seemed so small as it did now, knowing there were other worlds among the stars. Michelle and Lyra waited in the forest clearing for 3 days. They slept in Michelle's truck and ate the emergency supplies. They took turns watching for any sign of pursuit or response from Space On. The third night, as Michelle kept watch, she saw movement at the edge of the clearing. She woke Lyra quickly. "Someone is here," she whispered. Lyra stood up and faced the darkness. "Do not be afraid," she said. "They are my people." From the trees emerged 3 figures. They looked similar to Lyra, with blue skin and silver hair, but they were taller and wore what looked like armor. Their armor glowed softly with symbols and patterns that shifted like liquid metal. They carried no visible weapons, but Michelle sensed they were dangerous. The 3 aliens approached and bowed deeply to Lyra. They spoke in their musical language. Lyra responded with authority in her voice. The neural link allowed Michelle to sense Lyra's emotions, relief and determination mixed with worry. "This is Michelle," Lyra said, switching to English. "My human companion. She freed me from my crashed ship and has helped me evade the Dominion scouts. She wears my royal link." The three aliens studied Michelle with silver eyes that seemed to look through her. One of them spoke. The translation device on his armor converted his words to English. "Your Highness, this is unexpected. The Council will have questions about linking with a primitive species." Michelle felt a flash of anger at being called primitive, but Lyra placed a calming hand on her arm. "This human has shown intelligence, courage, and compassion." Lyra said, "She has earned her place at my side. The Council will understand when they hear my report." The aliens accepted this with slight bows. They explained that a small scout ship was hidden nearby. It would take them to the mothership, which was positioned behind Earth's moon. Their presence had been carefully concealed from human detection systems. "We must leave immediately." One of the aliens said, "Dominion forces have been detected in this sector. They are searching for you." "Your Highness," Lyra turned to Michelle. "We must go now," she said. "You will come with me." Michelle hesitated. "What about my life here? My job? My home? All can be explained later." Lyra said. The bracelet on Michelle's wrist grew warm. "There is no time." Michelle felt the familiar gentle compulsion from the neural link. She knew she should be angry about this lack of choice, but somehow she also understood the urgency. Something bigger than her normal life was happening. She nodded and followed Lyra and the three aliens into the forest. The scout ship was smaller than Michelle expected, about the size of a delivery van. It was shaped like a teardrop and hovered silently above the ground. The metal surface had the same soft glow as Lyra's crashed ship. Inside the ship was a single room with seats that formed from the floor when needed. The walls were transparent from the inside, giving a clear view in all directions. There were no visible controls, just a central platform where one of the aliens stood. As they took off, Michelle gasped. The acceleration was so smooth she barely felt it, but outside she could see the trees falling away. Then the curve of the earth appearing as they climbed higher. The blue sky darkened to black and stars appeared. Even with her limited knowledge of physics, Michelle knew they were moving impossibly fast. The journey to the moon took less than an hour. They flew around to the far side where Michelle saw something that took her breath away. A massive ship hung in space. It was beautiful and terrifying, a structure of graceful curves and angles that seemed to change shape as they approached. It was easily the size of a small city, or mothership, one of the aliens explained, the heart of Thalassia. It has been here for 3 lunar cycles searching for the princess. The scout ship entered a bay in the larger vessel. Landing was as smooth as takeoff. When the door opened, Michelle followed Lyra into a vast chamber. Dozens of blue-skinned aliens waited. Many wore the same armor as their escorts. Others were dressed in flowing robes with intricate patterns, all bowed as Lyra passed. She walked with perfect posture, her head held high. Despite her simple clothes, she suddenly looked every inch a royal princess. Michelle felt out of place in her jeans and flannel shirt, but the neural link gave her a sense of Lyra's confidence, which helped calm her nerves. They were led to a large, circular room with a table in the center. Around it sat 12 aliens in elaborate robes. They all stood when Lyra entered. She took a seat at the head of the table. Michelle stood behind her, unsure of protocol. The council meeting began. Lyra spoke at length, in her language occasionally switching to English when referring to Michelle or Earth. The neural link allowed Michelle to sense the importance of this discussion, though she could not understand the words. The council members asked questions there, tone sometimes challenging, sometimes supportive. After what seemed like hours, Lyra turned to Michelle. "The council wishes to hear from you," she said. "They want to know about Earth and why you helped me." Michelle stepped forward nervously. She told her story as simply as she could. How she found the crashed ship, how she decided to help Lyra, how they had worked together to evade those who searched for them. The council listened intently. Their silver eyes revealed nothing, but Michelle sensed their surprise and interest. When she finished, one of the council members spoke. The human shows unusual perception and courage for a primitive species, he said. But can we trust her kind? The Dominion report says humans are violent and territorial. Michelle felt anger rising again. I won't deny that humans can be violent and territorial, she said. We have our problems and our history isn't perfect, but we also have kindness, compassion, and courage. We protect what we love, and we fight for what we believe. Isn't that true of your people too? The council member seemed surprised by her response. He turned to Lyra. The link allows her to speak boldly, he observed. It allows her to speak truthfully. Lyra corrected. He considered this, then nodded. Another council member spoke. The Dominion forces grow stronger, she said. They have already sent scout ships to Earth. They prepare for invasion. Their mining operations have begun on your moon. Your Highness, we must decide quickly. Lyra stood. All eyes turned to her. I have studied the humans through my link with Michelle, she said. They are young as a species, but they have potential. They create art and music. They seek knowledge. They care for each other and their world. They deserve the chance to develop without interference, either from the Dominion or from us, the council debated. This was clearly a controversial position. Some argued that humans were too dangerous to be left alone. Others suggested a more direct intervention to protect Earth from the Dominion. Several spoke of ancient laws about contact with developing worlds. Through it all, Michelle stood silently beside Lyra. The neural link hummed with energy. She could feel Lyra's determination and the importance of this moment. She realized that the fate of Earth might be decided in this room by these alien beings. Finally, the council reached a decision. Earth would be protected from the Dominion. A Thalassian presence would remain hidden in the solar system to monitor and intercept any invasion attempts, but there would be no direct contact with human governments. The time was not yet right. As the meeting ended, Lyra turned to Michelle. There is more you need to know, she said, but not here. Come with me. Lyra led Michelle through the mothership. They walked down corridors that seemed to shift and change as they passed. The walls glowed with soft light, and the floor hummed gently beneath their feet. Other Thalassians they encountered bowed to Lyra and looked at Michelle with curiosity. Michelle tried to take in everything around her. The technology was like nothing she had ever seen. Doors opened without touch. Food appeared in chambers without any visible cooking. Screens floated in the air, showing images of stars and planets she did not recognize. They arrived at a large door that opened to reveal a private chamber. The room was simple but elegant, with furniture that seemed to grow from the floor. The walls showed a view of Earth spinning. Slowly below them, Michelle stared at the beautiful blue planet, feeling a strange mix of homesickness and wonder. Please sit, Lyra said, gesturing to a chair that formed itself to perfectly fit Michelle's body. It is time for you to understand. Lyra touched the silver bracelet on Michelle's wrist. It glowed brightly, then released with a soft click. It fell into Lyra's hand, leaving Michelle's wrist bare. You are free now, Lyra said. Michelle rubbed her wrist, feeling strangely empty without the bracelet. Why now, she asked. Lyra sat across from Michelle. The neural link served its purpose, she explained. Now you must choose your path without its influence. Michelle felt confusion. Why did you put it on me in the first place? She asked. Lyra's expression became serious. When I crashed on your planet, I was desperate. She said the Dominion had nearly killed me. My ship was damaged beyond repair. I had no way to contact my people. I needed help, but I could not risk trusting the wrong person. But why me? Michelle asked. I was just a mechanic who happened to find you. Lyra smiled. That was not chance, she said. My ship's emergency systems detected your presence before the crash. It analyzed thousands of humans in the area and determined you had the highest potential for what we needed. What does that mean? Michelle asked. It means, Lyra explained, that you possess a rare combination of traits. Technical skill, which helped repair my communication device. Courage, which allowed you to approach an alien craft. Without fear, compassion, which led you to free me instead of calling your authorities. And most importantly, a strong moral center. You have clear principles about right and wrong. These are qualities we value highly on Thalasia. Michelle tried to process this information, so your ship chose me. And then you decided to put this bracelet on me to what control me. The neural link does not control. Lyra corrected. It connects. It ensures truth between us. The link made it impossible for me to lie. To you, it also made it impossible for you to betray me intentionally or unintentionally. But I felt compelled to help you. Michelle said I could not refuse your direct commands. Lyra nodded. That aspect was necessary. She admitted I was in danger. The Dominion agents on Earth would have killed me if they found me. They would have killed you too for helping me. The link ensured your cooperation until you understood the full situation. Michelle stood up and walked to the window, looking at Earth. I still don't understand why all this secrecy, she said. Why not just tell me everything from the beginning? Lyra joined her at the window. Would you have believed me, she asked, if I had told you that aliens were planning to invade your world, that I was a princess from a distant star, that the fate of Earth might depend on helping me? Would you have accepted all this from a stranger? With blue skin, Michelle considered this probably not. She admitted. Lyra touched Michelle's arm gently. There is something else, she said. The neural link allowed me to share certain knowledge with you. Knowledge that would normally take years to learn. You now understand things about our technology, our culture, our history. This was not accidental. Michelle realized Lyra was right. Since the bracelet had been placed on her wrist, she had found herself knowing things she should not know. She could read some of the Thalassian symbols. She understood concepts about their technology that should have been beyond her. She even knew some of their history and customs. You have been prepared, Lyra said for what Michelle asked. To be a bridge between our worlds, Lyra replied. Earth faces great danger. The Dominion will not give up easily. They see your planet as a prize, to be taken. My people can help protect Earth, but we need someone who understands both sides. Someone who can translate not just language but ideas and values. Michelle turned back to the window. The implications were enormous. She was being asked to become an ambassador between humanity and an alien civilization. A civilization with technology far beyond Earth's. A civilization locked in a conflict that now threatened her home. What if I say no? She asked. What if I just want to go back to my normal life? You can, Lyra said. We will return you to Earth. Your memories of us will remain, but the knowledge imparted by the link will fade in time. You will be monitored for your protection, but otherwise left alone. And if I say yes, then you will stay with us, Lyra explained. You will learn more about our people, our technology, our ways. You will help us understand humans better. And when the time comes, you will help establish formal contact between our worlds. Michelle thought about her life. On Earth, her job fixing cars, her small cabin, her quiet existence. It all seemed so small now compared to what she was being offered. Yet it was her life, the life she had built. But she also thought about the threat the Dominion posed. If what Lyra said was true, Earth was in danger. Humans had no idea what was coming. They would be defenseless against such advanced technology. How long do I have to decide? Michelle asked. Lyra smiled. You have already decided, she said. I can see it in your eyes. You were chosen well. Michelle realized it was true. She could not walk away from this. Not when so much was at stake. Her sense of duty would not allow it. What happens now, she asked. Now you begin your training. Lyra said the Council has approved your status as Earth's first unofficial ambassador to Thalasia. You will learn our ways in depth. You will help plan Earth's defense. And you will advise us on how to eventually approach your leaders. Michelle nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. She looked at the small silver bracelet still in Lyra's hand. The thing that had seemed like enslavement had actually been preparation for something much bigger. Will I need to wear that again? She asked. Lyra closed her hand around the bracelet. No, she said. From now on, you act of your own free will, as it should be between equals and allies equals. Michelle asked with surprise. Lyra smiled. You freed me from my crashed ship, she said. Now I have freed you from the limits of your world. We have both given each other freedom in different ways that makes us equals despite our different origins. Michelle looked back at Earth spinning slowly below. From this distance she could not see nations or borders, just continents, and oceans, clouds, and land. She wondered what her family and friends were doing right now, completely unaware that she was here looking down at them from a spaceship, or that she was now part of something that might determine their future. I want to contact my family, she said. Let them know I'm okay. That can be arranged. Lyra said, though we must be careful about what information is shared. The Council has protocols for such communications. Michelle nodded, understanding the need for secrecy. She had so many questions, so much to learn. But for the first time since finding the crashed ship, she felt like she truly understood what was happening. And why. The door to the chamber opened and one of the council members entered. Your Highness, she said to Lyra, the Dominion fleet has been detected. They approach faster than expected. The council requests your presence. Lyra nodded. We will come, she said. She turned to Michelle. Are you ready for your first official duty as ambassador? Michelle took a deep breath and straightened her shoulders. Yes, she said, I am ready. The following weeks were the most intense of Michelle's life. She divided her time between learning Thalassian culture and technology and helping plan Earth's defense. The Dominion fleet was approaching faster than expected. Their advanced scouts had already established hidden bases on Mars. Michelle was given quarters on the mothership and assigned tutors who taught her the Thalassian language and customs. She was surprised by how quickly she learned the knowledge imparted by the neural link gave her a foundation that made new information easy to absorb. She attended council meetings where she provided insights about human behavior and society. The Thalassians were fascinated by humans. They had observed Earth for centuries but had never interacted directly with its people. They had many misconceptions that Michelle worked to correct. Humans are not as fragile or primitive as you think, she told them during one meeting. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and our own destructive tendencies. We adapt quickly. We solve problems in ways you might not expect. Give us a chance and we might surprise you. The council valued her perspective. Though some members still viewed humans as primitive, most came to respect Michelle's intelligence and determination. Lyra especially championed her cause. The princess had become not just an ally but a friend. Michelle learned that Thalassian society was built on harmony with nature. Their technology worked with natural forces rather than against them. They had mastered energy sources that humans had not yet discovered. Their ships moved through space using principles that Earth scientists had barely begun to theorize about. The Dominion, by contrast, believed in exploitation and control. They saw nature as a resource to be used. They conquered worlds, stripped them of valuable materials, and moved on. They had been enemies of Lyra's people for generations. Their philosophy was completely opposed to the harmony that Lyra represented. As the Dominion fleet drew closer, the council debated strategy. Should they confront the enemy ships beyond Mars? Should they wait in ambush near Earth? Should they reveal themselves to human governments and form an alliance? Michelle argued strongly against revealing themselves to Earth leaders. Not yet, she said. Humans are divided. Our nations do not trust each other. If you appear suddenly claiming to protect us from an alien threat, many will panic. Some governments might see you as the greater threat. They might attack you or each other. It would create chaos. Instead, Michelle proposed a different approach. Let the Thalassians intercept the Dominion ships quietly, prevent the invasion without humans knowing it had happened. Meanwhile, she would help identify a small group of trusted humans, scientists, leaders, thinkers who could be gradually introduced to the truth. These people would help prepare humanity for eventual first contact. The council agreed with her plan. It was decided that Michelle would return to Earth temporarily. She would establish a secure base of operations and begin identifying potential human contacts. She would also serve as an early warning system in case Dominion agents on Earth became more active before she left. Lyra gave Michelle a small device that looked like an ordinary watch. This will allow us to communicate, she explained. It also contains defensive capabilities. If you encounter Dominion agents, The technology will appear human-made if examined. Michelle prepared for her return to Earth. She was given new clothes that looked normal, but were made of Thalassian materials stronger and more comfortable than anything on Earth. She was also given medical treatments that enhanced her immune system and increased her strength slightly. Nothing that would make her obviously different, but enough to give her advantages. The night before her departure, Michelle stood with Lyra in the observation deck, looking down at Earth. "Are you afraid?" Lyra asked Michelle, considered the question a little. She admitted, "Everything has changed. I know too much now to go back to my old life, but not enough to feel confident about what comes next." Lyra placed a hand on Michelle's shoulder. "You were chosen well," she said again. "You have adapted to knowledge that would break many minds. You have accepted responsibilities that would overwhelm most humans. You have become a bridge between worlds." Michelle smiled. "That sounds very grand," she said. "But really, I'm just a mechanic who found an alien in the woods. You are much more than that." Now Lyra said, "You are the first human ambassador to the stars, the first of your kind to truly understand what exists beyond your world, and perhaps the most important human alive at this moment." Michelle felt the weight of those words, but also a sense of purpose. She had never imagined such a destiny for herself, but she was ready to embrace it. The next morning, Michelle boarded a small Thalassian ship disguised to look like a private aircraft. It would deliver her to a remote location near her original home. From there, she would begin her work. Her cabin had been restored, her absence explained as an extended vacation. Her old life waited for her, but it would now be the cover for something much more important. Lyra accompanied her to the landing bay. The princess looked regal in her formal attire. She had fully resumed her royal duties, preparing to lead her people against the Dominion. Michelle realized how far they had both come since that day in the woods. "I freed you from your crashed ship," Michelle said, "and you freed me from a limited life." Lyra smiled. The neural link that seemed like enslavement was actually preparation for freedom. She said, "A bigger freedom than you could have imagined." Michelle nodded. "I understand that now," she said. What had felt like control had actually been protection and education. It had given her knowledge and perspective she could never have gained otherwise. The ship was ready. Michelle embraced Lyra, an action that surprised the Thalassians watching. Royalty was not usually touched so casually, but Lyra returned the embrace without hesitation. "I will see you soon," the princess said. "The council has authorized regular contact. Earth will not face this threat alone." Michelle boarded the ship feeling a mix of emotions: excitement, fear, determination, but mostly hope. Hope for what might come from this strange new relationship between worlds. As the ship descended toward Earth, Michelle thought about the journey ahead. She would walk among humans carrying knowledge they did not possess. She would look at the night sky knowing what truly waited there. She would work to prepare her people for a future they could not yet imagine. The ship landed in a clearing similar to the one where she had first signaled the Thalassians. The door opened, and Michelle stepped out onto Earth soil once again. The air smelled different after her time on the mothership, richer, more varied. She took a deep breath, feeling a renewed appreciation for her home planet. A car waited nearby, provided by Thalassian agents already on Earth. Michelle got in and began the drive back to her cabin, back to what looked like her old life. But as she drove, she mentally listed the people she would contact first: the scientists who might understand, the leaders who might listen, the thinkers who might help prepare humanity for the truth. Michelle Carter had once been just a mechanic living alone in the woods. Now she was a bridge between worlds, the first human to truly understand what waited among the stars. She had freed an alien princess from a crashed ship. The princess had seemingly enslaved her with a neural link, but that apparent enslavement had actually been preparation for something much greater. As Michelle drove toward her cabin, she looked up at the blue sky. Soon it would be night, and the stars would appear. She knew now what those tiny points of light truly represented: not just distant suns, but worlds and civilizations, some friendly, some hostile, all part of a universe far more complex and wonderful than humanity had imagined. She had been given a glimpse of that greater reality. And now her job was to help others see it too. Not all at once, but gradually, carefully, in a way that would inspire hope rather than fear. Michelle smiled as she turned onto the familiar dirt road leading to her cabin. She was home. But home had a different meaning now. Home was not just a cabin in the woods or even a planet spinning through space. Home was wherever you found purpose, and Michelle had found hers among the stars.